Welcome back to SJAC's documentation training course. This is the introduction to the second module of the course concerning principles of documentation. For justice processes to be successful, it is very important that we accurately record violations, crimes committed during wars and conflicts, and the violation of human rights by governments and other groups against citizens. By collecting and sharing high-quality documentation, documenters can directly support the work of justice mechanisms. However, only high-quality documentation that meets the necessary legal requirements will contribute to supporting future criminal justice processes. This module is comprised of 5 subjects: documentation ethics, chain of custody, informed consent, post-interview reflections, and psychosocial support. The first subject in this module examines principles that SJAC staff utilize throughout their documentation work and help to ensure that documentation meets ethical and quality standards. The second subject discusses the topic of evidence preservation from the time it is collected in the field to the time it is presented in court, chain of custody, what is required, and the legal standards followed in chain of custody, and how to maintain a chain of custody for digital evidence. The third subject, regarding informed consent, discusses its importance, how we should be transparent with victims and witnesses, and what information must be included. We also share a template for obtaining informed consent in Arabic and in English. Learning from the process of documentation is extremely important. The fourth subject, therefore, discusses post-interview reflections, how documentation coordinators should write reflections following the interview process. After an interaction with witness or victim, it is normal to leave with strong impressions about the interview. You might feel particularly moved. They may have said something you want to verify, or you might have overall doubts about the truth of their statements. The sooner you write impressions, the fresher they will be in your mind. Your impressions can serve as a reminder to yourself later, can help others gain insight into your state of mind after the interview. The fifth subject describes how to refer witnesses or victims to service providers in the areas where they conduct interviews. It focuses on applying best practices, respecting confidentiality and privacy of victims and witnesses, and forming a trained documentation team capable of implementing these best practices. We further discuss the application of strict security measures to protect data and the mechanism of its transmission and preservation, as well as the protection of witnesses and victims. The principles outlined in this module should help to guide you in your overall approach to documenting violations and provide a grounding in basic principles.